A top AEW star has suffered from a serious injury, and the main event of AEW Full Gear has been confirmed. But first, a suspended AEW name has been released. 6 weeks ago, CM Punk, Ace Steel, and the Elite would be suspended from AEW, this following the reported real-life backstage altercation after the All Out pay-per-view. Since then, AEW have avoided mentioning the individuals by name, with there only being indirect references to them on AEW television. The futures of the individuals involved have very much been up in the air, although there has now been a breakthrough regarding one of the names. According to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio last night, Ace Steel has now been let go from the company, bringing an end to his short run with the promotion backstage, and Meltzer would reveal he was officially released yesterday, so that is the first bit of news out of that whole situation in weeks. But yes, he was released and there's a lot of other stuff going on, but it's just stuff going on, but there's nothing else really to it. But he was released yesterday. Steel is said to have played a key part in the backstage altercation, with him reportedly biting Kenny Omega and throwing a chair at Nick Jackson. As for the other suspended talents, CM Punk and the Elite, there would be references to both on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, a sign of a potential breakthrough on their end too. First footage of Punk's Death Before Dishonor 2005 ROH World title win was shown, this during the hype package for the ROH Championship match on the night between Chris Jericho and Dalton Castle. This is the first time he has been seen on AEW television since his suspension. The Elite were once again referenced this week, this time directly by name. They were referenced in Hangman Page's promo last week, although he would simply call them his old friends, only implying to who he was talking about. On last night's episode, during the plug for Friday's episode of Rampage, commentary would make mention of the fact that Kenny Omega and the Elite were the inaugural AEW Trios champions. It's worth remembering that up until now, Tony Khan and AEW have refused to mention either side due to potential pending legal issues, and whilst it's probably too early to assume that this means that both Punk and the Elite are returning to AEW, it's certainly a sign of a positive outcome on the ongoing internal investigation. Both sides are huge parts of the company, with the Elite being important in the promotion getting off the ground, whilst Punk has helped take it to the next level with his tremendous star power and name recognition. Now it's time to see this whole thing pay off on screen, resulting in some great matches and reality-based storylines. Well, here's hoping anyway. But let's switch over to last night's NXT show, where two main roster stars returned to the brand. For the first time since their switch to Tuesday nights on April 13th, 2021, NXT would go head-to-head with AEW Dynamite. The clash would come as a result of TBS moving Dynamite from Wednesday to Tuesday in favor of airing the MLB American League Championship Series game between the Yankees and the Astros in their usual slot. WWE would come all guns blazing for the viewership battle, stacking the card with main roster talent to fight NXT superstars. One of the matches would see Channing Stacks Lorenzo take on an opponent of Tony D'Angelo's choosing, leading to the return of a former NXT champion. Tony would turn to Shinsuke Nakamura to wrestle his stablemate, although in the end, the King of Strong Style would reign supreme after putting his adversary away with two Kinshasas. The return follows a report from Fightful Select that stated Nakamura would be involved in NXT in the near future, although it's unclear if he's there for the long term. The main event segment of the show would then see another NXT champion return, with Kevin Owens hosting the latest KO show, with guests Ilya Dragunov, JD McDonough, and NXT champion Bron Breakker the participants in next week's Halloween Havoc main event. Interestingly, following a brawl between the guests, Austin Theory's music would hit, with him teasing a potential cash-in of his Money in the Bank briefcase. Whilst this could be a red herring, it could also be a way of WWE booking Theory out of a loss to WWE Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns, instead having him win the NXT Championship. It's also a sign of further integration between the main roster and the developmental brand. And next up, the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view has been announced. Ever since the Tony Khan purchase of Ring of Honor this year, there has been talks of a potential television deal for the promotion, whose champions are currently only appearing on AEW television whilst things are being worked out. Well, this week, speaking with Sports Illustrated, AEW and ROH owner Tony Khan would speak of ROH's future, hinting that a television deal will be in place for 2023, with there also being the goal of one more ROH pay-per-view in 2022, and he would say, "We'll have great news soon about Ring of Honor weekly shows. The success of Death Before Dishonor on pay-per-view has ensured there will be more Ring of Honor pay-per-views. Our goal is to have one more great pay-per-view for Ring of Honor in 2022, and then follow that up with a weekly show in 2023. Shortly after the interview was released, another ROH pay-per-view was indeed confirmed, with Final Battle set to head to Arlington, Texas on Saturday, December 10th, and it will be the third Ring of Honor event of the Tony Khan era. So far, April's Supercard of Honor and July's Death Before Dishonor events have been the only shows under the new ownership, although it looks like 2023 could be a big year for the company's resurgence. It seems that the plan is for Final Battle to be the kickoff point for a new television deal, something that will perhaps be announced at the show itself. And next up, a top AEW star has suffered a serious injury. Last night's main event of AEW Dynamite would see hometown Cincinnati native Jon Moxley putting his AEW World Championship on the line against Hangman Page in his first defense of his third reign with the belt. After a hard-hitting contest, the bout would come to a close with an unfortunate ending, with proceedings being cut short due to Hangman suffering a serious injury. Following a lariat from Moxley, he would turn in the air, landing awkwardly on his head and neck, with the referee instantly rushing to check if he was okay. Page would lay motionless on the mat as the doctor was called over for a further checkup, with it becoming very clear that this was a real situation. The match was then called off, with Moxley retaining his gold before Page was stretchered out, with the company rushing to fill time, with 10 minutes remaining on the broadcast. We'll get to what happened next in the final story of the video, but for now we have an update on the status of Hangman Page, with AEW releasing a statement confirming exactly what happened, and they would note, Hangman Adam Page was taken tonight by medical personnel to a Cincinnati trauma center and diagnosed with a concussion. He was discharged but will remain in AEW's concussion protocol. AEW and Hangman Page are grateful for the exemplary response and care of staff and local medical personnel, and are appreciative of the love and support of fans everywhere. After the injury took place, Jon Moxley would then take to the microphone to address the crowd, wishing Page a 100% recovery, and he said, I hope and pray that Cowboy Hangman Page recovers to 100%, can walk again, can talk again, can play with his little baby again, and can perform for all you fans again. But this is a dangerous game that we play, and you gotta have guts to play it. You gotta risk it all to play it. You gotta put every single thing on the line every time you step into this ring. As for now, there is no update on how long Page will be away from television, although the potential significance of a concussion cannot be overstated. We of course wish Hangman Page a speedy and full recovery, and hope that he can get back to full health soon. And finally, the main event of AEW Full Gear has been confirmed. Now let's get back to what happened after the Hangman Page injury that brought an abrupt end to the main event, but to tell the full story we have to go back to earlier in the night to a promo between William Regal and MJF. The two men would share the ring for an extremely personal back and forth, with MJF telling the story of when he almost got signed to WWE whilst Regal was the company's head of recruitment. When working as an extra for the promotion, MJF would perform a tryout match in front of Arn Anderson, Adam Pearce, Dean Malenko, and William Regal, who were all there to scout the potential standouts. Regal would then call MJF into the room, asking him to sell himself in the form of a promo, before impressing to the point where he was offered a job. However, because of Max's age, he wasn't picked up, instead being told to go out and carry on working, crushing his dreams within seconds. For those wondering why he was too young, WWE have a policy where wrestlers must be old enough to get rental cars. At least this is something Regal revealed in the past on his podcast, not in relation to MJF. Regal would then tell MJF to keep in touch and send him a promo and match every month, although 3 months later he would send an email to MJF, an email that the recipient read out on air, and it read, Max, I'm a very, very busy man. I've got talent from all over the world to watch, and I just had to sit for minutes watching you show me your acting skills. Do not reply to this, but how would this make me say, oh I know, let's hire Max? Make a name for yourself in the wrestling world and you'll get noticed. That means being a high-level performer. When you do, trust me, I'll know. Unfortunately for you, the game has changed. The WWE exclusively hires the best talent in the world and the top world-class athletes. When you're one of them, then maybe send me your stuff. An emotional Max would then reveal that the email made him want to quit wrestling and even quit life, before saying that it made him want to end himself. We won't cover the full promo as there's bits we'll leave out, but it's a must watch if you haven't seen it already. As for the main takeaway from this, Regal challenged Max to stop cheating, stop hiding behind others and using them to get ahead. He would explain the difference between MJF's Dynamite Diamond ring and Regal's infamous brass knucks, explaining that he didn't use them because he had to, but he used them because he just likes hitting people with them. The challenge was then set. can MJF win the AEW World Championship without any shortcuts? Well, the challenge was seemingly answered later in the night after the main event concluded, with Max teasing a cash-in on Jon Moxley using his casino ladder match chip, but instead he said he wants Moxley at 110% with no excuses. He would then confirm that his title shot will be declared in advance and will happen at AEW Full Gear on November 19th. The groundwork has now been laid for a babyface MJF, who continues to be cheered by the crowd despite his best efforts, with him following a similar path to that of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He became the best heel in the business that people began to get behind, and now it seems like history is repeating itself, and as Austin proved, you can be a top babyface without acting like one. And before you go, make sure you check out the truth behind CM Punk's secret wrestling returns before AEW.